gentlemen, welcome to the Sanitation District Board meeting. I'd like to call to order this meeting. Roll call. Jim
just joined the conference.
I think I have a motion for a roll call. May I ask who's present? Mr. Smith present.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Someone's moving their phone around a lot, getting a lot of noise on there.
Yeah, it is. Mr. Edwards.
Yes, I am here.
Mr. Wright.
I'm here.
Harris. Frank Harris.
Frank won't be with us tonight, Gary.
Okay, and that's it, right?
Mr. Smith.
Did you hear Gary? This is Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let it be known. I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes.
This is Holt. I'll make a motion.
Can we get a second?
Yes, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Will there be any that oppose? Okay, we're going to move on to public comments. Will there be any public comments? Mike, did we have anyone that's going to be
There's one person. There's at least one person on the public line. I don't know. Did anyone want to make any public comments? I guess not.
Okay.
I had something, Gary. I had two things that I'd like to. One is an email that was sent to us that we've been asked to read in the public comment. But before I do that, I just want to let everybody know that Frank Harris is having some medical issues, and he's going in for some work to be done. He expects everything to go okay, and so do his doctors, but I just wanted to say maybe you could keep him in your thoughts and prayers, okay? Everything should be good, but I just want to let you know that's why he's not here tonight. Okay. And then the other thing I had was we received an email from Rodney McCormick. It was actually back in March, and he asked us to read this into the public record on the March meeting, and we just kind of forgot about it. So it's relatively short, so I'm just going to read this. He says, "Good morning. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, General Manager Michael Cuss and Operations Manager Steve Stanford, for taking care of the issues involving Michael Williams. I also want to tell you thank you for hiring more blacks and the young lady that drives a dump truck. You have made an important step in our community towards our people not only getting jobs but on the pathway to a career. Because so many people follow me on social media, I feel it's imperative that I post something on the Facebook page about the good job that you guys are doing. With your permission, we can get more done working together. Thank you, and I look forward to your continue to work together to make life better for everyone in Michigan City. Today, I salute you for your assistance. Rodney J. McCormick, Social Status Commissioner and Indiana State Delegate." I did write Mr. McCormick back and tell him that there was no need to post anything on his Facebook page because we're just trying to do the best job we can down here and doing things fair and all that. So that's. But anyways, he wanted us to read that in the public comment. Okay.
Awesome.
And that's all I had on that front.
Thank you, Mr. Cuss. Dan McCoy for safety. That's going to be the next thing on the agenda, safety.
Good afternoon. In the month of March, the Water Reclamation Department had 3 reportable cases. The Refuse Department also had 3 reportable cases. All the cases in water reclamation were related to COVID-19. That was a grouping of exposure for that between 326 and 328 in that vicinity, actually 328. And so,
hey, Dan, your phone's really, Dan, your phone's really, whatever phone you're on, it's really a lot of noise and it's breaking up really bad.
Yeah, it is. It is.
oh, let's see. Can you hear me now? It's cold rain in Valpo with lots of thunder and lightning, so.
No, it's still pretty much,
Hear me?
it's pretty much the same, so. Maybe I should just go through, maybe.
Well, yeah, if you could go through the reports, that would be good. I was just going to highlight the COVID cases, then talk about the case that occurred in the refugee department to a drop slipped on ice. And we successfully completed confined space entries. And that's basically it.
Okay.
My apologies for the...
All right, Dan, thank you very much. You might want to put your phone on mute unless there's something else you want to say later, because it's really, really noisy, so.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. We're going to open up the quotes and bids.
Okay, we've got this, these proposals on the north end study area. I think looks like we received 3 proposals so far, and those, I'm going to open them and explain who they're from. And the first one is from Strand and Associates. Their proposal for doing this work, I'm just going to read their proposed fee. It's not a quote or a bid, so it's really not that important. We have to look at all the different issues, such as their capabilities and how they're proposing to do the work and so forth. But their quote, their amount for the proposal was $39,790, so a little under $40,000. The next proposal was from V3. Their proposed fee for doing this work was $147,980. V3 Engineers out of Indianapolis. And then the third one that we got was from Woodard and Curran. I know that they're out of St. Charles, Missouri. Someone on this line knows very much about St. Charles, Missouri. It's their fee that they want for this work was $49,440. So I'd ask the board to recommend that myself and Mr. Stanford and Mr. Basil and some of our other engineers and Mr. Meyer review these proposals and come back to the board with a recommendation of how to proceed. If we can get a motion to that effect, it'd be great.
Could we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion. Tim Smith.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Will there be any to oppose? Okay, let's move on.
Okay, you want me to go on to the next item, Gary? COVID?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is our COVID health and emergency update. This wasn't in your packet, but got this written up here. I'm going to read it over maybe summarize it a little bit. In the collections department, we had 4 staff members that tested positive for COVID in late March. They all returned back to work between April 12th and April 19th. One of the staff members experienced severe symptoms and sought medical attention on at least 2 occasions. The other 3 suffered mild to severe symptoms but didn't require medical attention. They're all back to work now and seem to be doing fine. In the wastewater treatment plant, we had an operator who tested positive on April 15th, and then basically because of who that person worked with, a few other operators had to get tested also. Another positive result was received on April 19th, and we've got some guys out of work. A couple other people tested negative, and everyone should be back to work here pretty soon. So that's basically the update here. We're still trying to do our best actually, I think everyone is back to work that had tested. They're the operators already, but it's just situations where people are still coming into contact with COVID, and we're doing our best when someone does have a positive test to keep everyone else away. We just had an office personnel person whose family member tested positive, so we kept everyone away today so that we don't try to have any other people affected with COVID. So that's the COVID update. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them. You want to move on to the financial report then, Gary?
Yes, Is Scott Kiesler on the line?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'll begin by reading the cash balances as of March 31st, 2021. The operating fund had $1,539,041.20. The municipal account had $15.39. The improvement fund had $906,345.03. Vehicle replacement fund had $74,464.04. Equipment replacement fund had $574,399.36. The grant fund was at 0. It closed out pretty much every month. And the total in that bank account was $3,094,265.02. The Indian Springs project had no balance, and the Whippoorwill project had no balance, for a total in that bank account of 0. That's because we made the quarterly payment to the SRF. The debt reserve account had $499,602.76. The SRF bond and interest had $92,047.69. For a total at BNY Mellon of $591,650.45. The Stormwater Fund had $522,823.64. The Refuse Municipal Account had $10.40. The Refuse Fund had $893,638.79. Special Revenue Fund had $1,639.67. The Levy Access Fund had $8,522.14. The Tax Levy Grant Fund had $281,452.74. And the Rainy Day Fund, which we used earlier, at 0. For a total in that bank account of $1,708,087.38. So the total of the bank accounts before Carwick was $5,394,002.85. The Carwick Remediation Fund had $243,507.01 for a total cash balance of $5,637,509.86. And just in general, the cash still, it remains steady. And later in the meeting, you're going to be talking about paying off some leases that we took out for the Volkswagen Trust. And I just want everybody to know, as you can see, we have the fund available to make that payment that you'll be talking about later. So I'll answer any questions if anybody has any.
Will there be any questions?
Yeah, and then the other thing, the other things I put in your packet were, the budget performance reports, and all of them, we're doing very well the budget, across the board, but if anybody has any questions or would like to email me any questions, I'll respond. But overall, we look pretty good, and I know there's been some talk about possibly adding some people in certain departments, and we have the flexibility in our budgets right now to do those things. So overall, we're doing well, and we're tracking right along budget levels, if not better in most cases. So, and that's pretty much all I have tonight.
I would, if I could just add one more thing, Scott, and also for the board members. I've been talking with Assistant Superintendent for the Collections Department, Mr. James Michaels, and he informs me that we have videotaped and inspected a sewer on Lincoln Street, and he indicates that this entire sewer line may need to be repaired. Just an off-the-cuff estimate that he gave me was a couple $100,000 for this repair, so maybe somewhere between $100,000 and $300,000 we may need here in the very near future to repair a sewer that he says is in potential for collapsing. So they're supposed to be finishing up the videoing and final inspection of this sewer. I think they were supposed to finish it up today, so in the next couple of days we may be issuing an urgent request for quotes to repair a potential emergency situation. So I just wanted the board and also Mr. Kistler to be aware of that.
Okay, well, we do have $906,345 in the improvement fund.
Right.
So we should have enough for
Right.
Okay.
Good job, Mr. Kistler.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to wastewater treatment plant operations.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a verbal update of, if you've been following along with the emails, I've been trying to copy the board members and the mayor and so forth on this situation that we ran into on Friday. Friday morning, we received a call from the water department. They use orthophosphate solution to help with the additive to the drinking water. And basically, it's my understanding that this additive helps out with the coating of the pipes throughout the city and even throughout your homes, so that you do not have any lead or copper that will leach out of your metal in your pipes into the drinking water. I don't think Michigan City has a very big problem with lead, but those of you that are familiar with the drinking water regulations, there's what's called lead and copper rule, and the lead limit's actually, the copper limit's actually pretty high, but anyways, they've been adding some of this. It's not a big of a issue for cities that use water out of Lake Michigan or surface waters, but if you use well water, the water can become very corrosive. I know of people in LaPorte whose lines in their homes just start springing leaks and so forth because the water's so corrosive it'll eat through the copper piping. But anyways, they use this material for that reason, and unfortunately they had a pump or something that overflowed into a tank, and this tank had secondary containment, but the secondary containment was inadequate, and they reported to us that they lost 1,300 gallons of a phosphate solution that contains about 4 pounds per gallon phosphorus. That comes out to, if you multiply that out, you get 5,200 pounds of phosphorus, and normally on an average day we are somewhere, I think in 2020 our phosphorus load coming into our plant is about 167 pounds, and even a little bit higher than that if you want to use an average of maybe 200 to 230 pounds. But on average, we get around 200 pounds. I guess, again, in 2020, it was actually lower at 167 pounds per day. So you can understand a 5,200 pound load is way more than we're really set up here to treat. So on Friday, we did some quick testing of our final effluent with a couple grab samples, and it yielded 18 milligrams per liter on one sample, and then another sample, that was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then at 7 o'clock it was like 22 milligrams per liter. So we decided we had to stop our discharge, so we stopped our discharge and started sending all of our wastewater into our storage lagoon. And then we increased our ferric feed, and we also set up a recycle pump from our chlorine contact tank, which is one of our final tanks before it goes out to the creek, and recycle about 1 million gallons a day back to our aeration basins, hoping that we could recycle this water and get some treatment. Then on Saturday, myself and Kevin Van Sickle, the maintenance department, we looked at our ferrochloride storage, which is a chemical we use to precipitate out the phosphorus out of our wastewater. It's actually waste pickle liquor, refined and waste pickle liquor from the steel mills for the pickling process when they clean the steel. So it has a lot of iron in it, and also the pH is really low. But we found a way to get that into the headworks of the plant at a high volume, which we needed. We were able to introduce a lot more of that into the headworks of the plant. Normally we feed this ferrochloride solution in the middle of our plant in our aeration tanks. So and we started taking more water back through the plant on Saturday morning, and we started doing testing, and we noticed that our final effluent was down to about 9 milligrams per liter already after the work that we did on Friday. And then we continued to notice it dropping, and I think by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon our phosphorus was down to 5 milligrams per liter going out. Our limit is 1.0 milligrams per liter, but that's on a monthly average basis. So we do not have a daily limit or even a weekly limit. We just have one limit a month, and we have to, over time, over the course of the month, we have to be below 1 milligram per liter. Typically we're down around 0.4 to 0.5 milligrams per liter. We try to get as much phosphorus out as we can. When you precipitate out the phosphorus, there becomes a point where it's difficult to precipitate out much more, so we try to take out as much as we can, which shows by our data. And the work that we did was highly successful. Yesterday I think we were at a 0.6 milligrams per liter, around that range, a little lower. Today we were around 0.5 for our composite for yesterday, and then this morning we got a grab sample and we were, I think, below 0.5. I think it was 0.43 or 0.46, something like that. Today I'm not looking at the data. Our ammonia treatment, we were a little concerned about that because when you add all this low pH water in, it can take away some of your alkalinity. Our pH did drop, but our alkalinity stayed decent. So we did add some sodium bicarbonate in, which is just it's basically baking soda. What it is, we added that in to help with our alkalinity, because you have to have a minimum amount of alkalinity to actually even treat for ammonia, or you won't be able to treat for ammonia. And we've been testing the ammonia. Our limit on ammonia is 1.3 milligrams per liter. That's a daily maximum, but we can discharge 1.3. And we were at a high value of 0.56, and then the last couple of days we were down below our detection limit of 0.07, so we didn't have any issues there. The pH on the Saturday or Sunday was 6.4, and we were measuring that throughout the day on Saturday, so we met that. Our limit there, our upper limit's 9, our lower limit is 6. So I just want to thank all the staff for their cooperation with me, specifically because I was here all day Saturday, and even came in Sunday morning at 3 o'clock in the morning to do some more testing. And also our superintendent, Mr. Miladovich, Mr. Stanford, came in on Saturday and went around, did some pH monitoring and helped us with different things. All the maintenance staff, Kevin in particular, helped out a lot. Dave McCorvey came in, operations chief, did a really great job. And also the lab, Sue and Laura and Fawn helped out probably the most on Saturday, doing a whole bunch of extra testing for us, and also Katrina. They've been doing a lot of extra testing in the lab here recently. So it was just another example, I think, of reaction that we took. Phosphorus probably wouldn't cause any acute problems to fish or aquatic life, but what could happen if we had a major load go out like that, it could build up over time, and we could get a big algae bloom out on Lake Michigan on our beaches, which we certainly would not want to have. But just to give you an idea, I did some rough calculations, and in one day, if we wouldn't have treated this, in one day we would have discharged as much phosphorus as we normally discharge in 73 days. So you could imagine if that went on for 2 days, that would be like 150 days worth of phosphorus load in 2 days out to Lake Michigan, and certainly we wouldn't want that to happen to our beaches and have those problems. So we did a really nice job, and looking at all the data that we have so far, I think our maximum that we had the day we did the treatment was like 2.8 going out, and I think we might have had another day of 5 milligrams per liter going out, somewhere in that range. We'll put all the data together and we'll send a report to the IDEM, but it looks like right now we have a good chance of still maintaining compliance for our monthly average. I think looking at the data we're at now, we're around 0.7 for the month, so should be in pretty good shape and should have no adverse impact on the environment. So just want to thank everybody again. So that's my report there.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
I was wanting to ask you a question.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
Where do we rank? Where do we rank at in the state of Indiana?
Number one.
We're number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're the best, Gary.
That's awesome.
You know, we have the best board, best board president. That's why we're number one. Okay.
No.
That's the main reason why.
We have to bring on the leadership.
Yeah, that's the main reason why, because we have the best board and the best board president. No, we get good support from the board, obviously. We talk about that a lot. You know, certainly Mayor Muir, since I've been here, when he was mayor, he gave a lot of support to the district, and we got a lot done. And so far, Mayor Perry has been very supportive of us and complimentary of the work that we're doing here. And so it all starts at the top. And Michigan City, the people of Michigan City are blessed with this wastewater treatment plant that we have. And the city took action back in the 60s, too. I think there's a report from 1962 where they talk about eliminating combined sewers, and they started working on that. A lot of communities are still trying to eliminate them today. I mean, you know, we have this basin, and what do we've had? We've had one overflow in 6 years from our basin, and some communities, every single time it rains, they have combined sewer overflows, or significant rains. So we're lucky in that respect too. But certainly staff and management and people, that's why we really value education and these certification licenses and stuff. You know, people a lot of times want to know why we value that and we pay extra for that. This is a perfect example of that. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone knows what we need to do for treatment and the best ways to do it. So it goes to show. But all joking aside, we certainly have to have a strong board and the support of the board to get this done. It's very, very much appreciated, and the citizens should be thankful for that.
Awesome. Mike, we're going to go ahead and move on the update.
Were there any other questions from any of the other board members about the phosphorus thing? Okay. You want me to move on then, Gary?
Yeah, Mike.
Okay. Cheney Run Project.
Michael, I'm sorry.
Yes.
No questions, but I thought the whole issue was handled very well. I don't know what was required to be reported, but the emails downstate and just the communication with all those who have authority over that, I thought was good moves on the part of the district.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you. We are required to report any non-compliance issues and so forth, and this is a little bit different because, you know, you're really not in compliance to the end of the month, but you're always better to, you know, over-report than under-report, and actually anything that could cause significant or severe damage to human health and the environment has to be reported, as soon as possible after you're aware of it. So we try to follow that stuff and keep in contact with the regulators that regulate us, and we feel that builds a better relationship. And if we need them to help us with something or they need our help, we can both work together like that. Thank you for the compliment, Jeff.
Understood.
Okay,
Cheney Run project. The only thing I have there is we're trying to work on this dedication sign. I put an example of drawing the mock-up that I made about this sign. I was trying to have something that would look pretty nice and not just something, stuck on a pole out there. I was noticing some of the national park signs, and I came across this one for Bryce Canyon, so I don't know that it's going to end up looking like that with the big bricks and everything like that, but I put a little mock-up together. This is a requirement that we have to have a dedication sign for the land that was donated to us by GAF. They are totally fine with having other people that help make this a reality, and we're going to put some more notices on there, more logos on there from some of the other people that helped us. Right now I had the IDNR on there and NIFWIF. I think it's going to be good to also we have below, I have Delta Institute, the Alliance for the Great Lakes, the Trail Creek Watershed Coalition. I certainly think we need to send a shout out to the Redevelopment Commission that helped out a lot with the funding and so forth. And I just asked for a proposal from V3 to actually do the design work on this actual sign so that we can get it constructed. So we should get that proposal soon, and then we'll try to move forward with that. So that's the update on Cheney Run. Carwick, the update on Carwick. We would really like to find Carwick to be substantially complete. One of the nuances of this is that the contractor is actually responsible for the site until such time as the project becomes substantially complete. We certify that as the board. We don't feel comfortable bringing that to the board for certification because there's just some significant areas along the banks of the Trail Creek where the grass is really not growing very well and not coming in very well. So there was one of the slopes we actually put on, we took the shore socks off, I believe, and we planted some more grass seed and put down a straw mat. But the other shore socks areas, the grass is growing in some areas, but not really to our satisfaction. And we really don't want to remove those shore socks because, as I explained at previous board meetings, it's almost like a blanket, or that's why it's called a sock, because it's like a sock that you put the dirt inside of and the seed inside of, and it grows through. And it really helps protect with erosion. We get some of these storms, knock on wood, we haven't had one for a while, but you get one of these big storms that comes through and causes a lot of erosion along there. We're going to be really glad that we have that shore socks. But anyways, we want to open this park, we want to open this up to the public and also the Cheney Run up to the public, but we really can't do that until we get this grass growing into our satisfaction. The Cheney Run side, we do need to plant that additional planting of wetland plants before we would find that substantially complete, but that is scheduled to be done here in I believe the first week of May, even next week, so that should be moving along. But that's the update on the Carwick. If anybody has any updates or any questions, just chime in and I'll get back to you.
Hey, this is Jeff.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, the grass you're talking about, I was wondering about the rivulets and the little rills that were along the edge of the bank there. Are those...
Are you talking about the little spots where you would sink down in when you're walking along?
Yeah.
Yeah, we addressed all those, Jeff. We marked all those off, and we had those tampered down with like stakes to tamper it down, so it's not. Those have all been addressed. Yes.
Okay.
Might be something we want to check again on, but they all were addressed and looking good. And when Steve and I were out there last week looking at the grass, evaluating it, we didn't come across any of the areas like that you had come across the day you were out there with us. Those seem to be doing better.
Understood.
Okay. All right. The North End study. I've talked about that before. It's so we can get a good study of all of our sewers, inverts and capacities of our storm and sanitary sewers, and we've got these proposals for modeling the sanitary sewer system. Storm sewer system's already modeled. I look at the agenda, I should have put sanitary sewer system instead of just sewer system, but storm sewer's modeled. The sanitary sewer system, we just received those proposals today, so we will review those and get back to that. Long Beach project, I actually have a written update on that. I just got it today, so I didn't get it in your packet. Surveying, they've done the 811 utilities, some topographical surveying along Lakeshore Drive and Moore Road has been completed. The boundaries are underway and should be completed as a deliverable by May 11th. Geotechnical investigation has begun with a completion date of proposed completion date of May 14th. The design of the new lift stations is on schedule, and the sewers is on schedule. And the next steps are they want to have a meeting with Michigan City Sanitary District and the town of Long Beach to talk about the proposed sewer lateral locations for each of the homes, continue working on the new infrastructure and the design improvements for the lift station. So that has started. We actually received our first invoice from Haas and Associates for that work, so that's actually exciting that that's underway. Cerebral Pond Restoration Project. We had that really nice update from Steve last meeting with the pictures of the flaming grass and straw, and there's no written update this week. We did go out there with Applied Ecological Services and noticed that some of the spots where the Phragmites are starting to pop through again. Really wasn't that much of it actually, but they're going to treat that with the herbicide again and coming out there. The gentleman that was out there on site explained that this is probably going to take about 3 years to really get this under control. So then he said after that it should look really good. 300 North US Highway 421 project, there's really no update to there. There's still some negotiations, I guess, going on between the Love's truck stop and the owner of that oil pipeline that runs through there. Pine Tree Court, John Doyle has a letter in that he sent to Gatlin Plumbing. He said everything looks good, some grass has begun to grow, but in order to finalize the project, we'll need a letter of completion from you. And also regarding the final payment, he's requesting that we only pay, let me make sure I get, I believe 50% of the line item cost would be fair. I guess they had a $1,750 cost in there for traffic control, but he doesn't think that they really did the traffic control to that level, so he's asking them to reduce that by 50%. And then I think at some point in time, final pay for that project would be $27,600. So Mr. Kistler, if you're still listening, we'll have that maybe at the next board meeting, provided Gatlin Plumbing comes through with the requested paperwork that Mr. Doyle's asking for. Other than watching the grass grow and getting that final completion, that project's moving along pretty good. Or it's done, I should say. Energy savings report. Energy savings. Really taking up a lot of my time, I can tell you that. Mr. Meyer's time, too. I put together the report this month. I got back to doing this week. This month, Ryan was unable to get this completed for me this month, so the savings that we had in April was $11,308, the savings. It's still pretty good. 14,850 was last month, and the month before that was 9,000. I was warning the board members at the last meeting that I didn't think we would see that much savings because we actually had our blowers increased speed for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, even probably 2 weeks, I think. We were experimenting with some different speeds and so forth, and after the airflows, which of course uses more energy. So, but we were still able to have some pretty substantial savings. one of these meetings coming up, I'd like to put together a report on the filter cell backwashing now that we have some data on that with our new underwear system. It's really quite amazing. We used to backwash our filters, probably 10 filters, we probably backwashed them literally probably once a shift, so 3 times a day. So we're probably doing about 30 backwashes a day. I think some of the data that I was looking at is we're averaging about maybe 7 backwashes a day. And one day, a month or two ago, we had only 2 backwashes in a day, but actually one day this week we actually had 1 backwash the entire day, 1 backwash the entire day. We used to do about 30 backwashes a day, so that's pretty incredible. And also, so the auto controls there are helping out with energy savings, and also I think the new mud well pumps that we got installed are helping too, because while they're actually a higher horsepower and use more energy when they're pumping, they don't pump for as long a period of time. So I have asked Ryan to look at putting together that data in a report for me, and I haven't got that from him yet, but we will look at that. But I believe we're using a lot less energy overall because it pumps at a faster rate, so it doesn't run for quite as long. The other thing is with the ESG guaranteed savings, and we've talked about this as my mother would say, till we're blue in the face almost. We've talked about this, and we went to mediation, didn't help out at all. We sent them a letter to try to discuss some of the points that they brought up at mediation, hoping that they would see that they are not discussing this stuff accurately and factually, and they just basically, we sent that to them, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and they wrote us back. That took me literally a month to get together. I worked on it right away, and then I put together some of the attachments, and then we wanted to refine them, and I really dove into that for days and days and days, and got that to them, and basically they just wrote us back and said, well, too bad, you're wrong, and we don't agree. And they're supposedly going to be updating their energy savings report here that they sent to us, I believe, in September of 19. So I told Mr. Meyer, let's wait and see what we get when they send us that. We haven't got that yet. It's been going on at least a week now, or maybe 2 weeks almost. So I don't know when they're planning on sending us that. And then from there, maybe we'll try one more time or something, but I don't know what else we could do other than, try to file something in court. So the Blue Swag report is attached. Highlights some of the things we've been doing. We've been having these meetings again, doing them virtually. I think it's working out pretty well. I wasn't able to participate at all in the meeting today. In last month's meeting, while I participated, I was being pulled in different directions. It's one of the nice things about the virtual meetings. You can do some other things, but then also sometimes it's one of the bad things because you can't keep on that as focused sometimes. But I believe it went well. Mr. Meyer, you attended the meeting today, and Steve, were there any highlights from the meeting today that we need to bring up to the board?
Not from my perspective.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next one is the Whisper Dunes acceptance of the street. We talked about that. We asked them to, their stormwater approval for treating and so forth. The stormwater was contingent upon that they built the road in the proper manner, and our city engineer and Mr. Gorsica went out there to find out that they didn't do that. I don't have any other any new information on that. Do you have anything on that, Mr. Wright?
I'm afraid I don't.
Okay. One thing about these Whisper Dunes, we'll have to stay on this, Jeff, okay? If we can get a better update for the next board meeting then, okay? And also...
well, actually no, Michael.
Okay.
It's incumbent on them to present something to me that's acceptable.
Okay.
And it's not my job to go out there and fix it. So if they want it accepted, they need to fix it. It's that simple.
Okay, very good. And also, I want to make it clear, I know Commissioner Smith brought this up last time, that, so I'll just jump ahead of that in case he was ready to chime in, that it was the contractor that did not construct the road accordingly. At least that's the information that we have now, so it wasn't the actual people that whispered.
So on my side of it, we don't really care who screwed it up.
Okay.
We just need something that's fixed and proper, that's all.
And until such time as...
Let me ask a question about that since you called me out on this, Mike.
Well, I wasn't calling you out. I was just trying to say that you made that point.
Yeah. Basically, Jeff, this road, and Whisper Dunes did not hire the contractor to do the work. I believe the sanitary district hired the contractor to do the work. So, my question on that...
Jim Meyer?
No, that's not accurate. We did not hire Reese Riley to put in the road.
Okay, but the city had some whether it was the planning department or something, Jim, I recall that as there was something with Whisper Dunes and that small portion of the public road that someone took bids from Reese Riley. It wasn't Whisper Dunes. Whisper Dunes paid a deposit. The city took the bids and they hired Reese Riley to do this. Whisper Dunes did not hire Reese Riley to do the end of it. That's how I got involved in it over 2 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah.
They did post a bond because they have to post a bond with the Board of Public Works in regards to the project, and they did do that. But both the engineering work, which was done by Global, who designed it, and the design was approved by the city planning and by the sanitary district. Unfortunately, the contractor did not install it according to the design.
Hey, Commissioner Smith.
Who hired Reese Riley to do this?
Commissioner Smith.
The developer.
Yeah, it's my understanding. We've looked into this a little bit before, Jim Meyer and I and Skylar York, and it's our recollection at least that it was a developer. But how about this? How about if Jim and I look into this in more detail, and we'll write up a short little memo with the facts about who hired the contractor and so forth. Maybe we could try to have that for our next board meeting. Would that be okay with you?
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I mean, do we have an interest in even taking the road over? I mean, what's our interest in it?
Well, it's actually a public road. It's just that they were supposed to improve it, and it still is a public road. They were supposed to improve it, and they're supposed to maintain it until such time as it's improved to our satisfaction. So that was the gist of it, if I'm getting it correct. But how about if we put something together for the next meeting, Commissioner Smith, and that way we'll have some more facts laid out then, okay?
Yeah, and Mike, I would rather have a conversation about it, and then we can put that together.
Okay, so, good.
I really don't want to be on these calls where I'm defending it. I would like to be more involved in the process of what we're doing with this.
Sure.
And find out actually, because I don't want to have to go through these meetings again the next month where I'm saying my understanding is whatever. So I'm available in town. So let's get together, let's figure this out, and so we don't have to keep reporting on Whisper Dunes on this small road.
Very good. This sounds like a good idea, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more on the street? The wastewater treatment plant updates. Still the same situation with the digesters. Got to put something together. Waiting for the final control report on the mud wall pumps, management of change report, and the aeration and DO control. I did submit a report on that already, but we approved at our last board meeting the purchase for the actuating valves. I think they said there were about a 6-week lead time on that. So once we get those in, I can update the DO control. The only thing on I guess I have this highlighted. Oh, on the Shambaugh and Sons PLC control, we've been experiencing some issues with the pre-treat PLC. And I don't know how much of details I want to get into, but apparently it may be a very simple fix of a loose electrical wire. So I just actually received that information today, literally just before the meeting at like 20 minutes to 4. So I did get a hold of the Shambaugh and Sons, who again are excellent to work with, and talk to them about this. We had a time set up for later on this week to look at it, but may not really be that big of an issue at this point in time. That's going well, no issues there. The Wonderware project, we've planned to begin the development of the Wonderware updates for integration into the pre-treatment system controls. They've worked with the IT department to change the reporting system to a new email service. That's been fantastic. I told you gentlemen before about the dream reports that we get at 6 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes we were getting 1 or 2, or sometimes we'd get 0, and we wouldn't always get all 3. Mechanic set up a new email service, a new email exchange somehow, and since he's done that, again, knock on some wood, we've received 3 for 3 every day since he's done that, so that's been great. Continuing testing and updating the applications for improved compatibility with the InTouch Access Anywhere, and began architecting and configuring the Wonderware for redundancy. So one of the things that Andy brought up is that we want to have redundancy of this system, so we're going to have a total backup server that's going to be redundant with all this information. That way, if something were to go wrong, we'd still have all that data stored. And like we talked about earlier with this phosphorus stuff, it's so important to have all this information for reporting purposes. The next steps are to stress test the InTouch Anywhere server. What he means by that is he wants to try to get everyone online all at once and make sure that it doesn't crash. Continue the integration of the pretreatment system controls. Again, this will allow us to make changes to the plant from off-site, which will be fantastic, and then migrate the Wonderware project onto the redundant server. So that project is going well. South Shore project update. We had an issue where we were looking over the plans and specifications a little more closely. Actually, it was brought to our attention also by one of the contractors. And we worked with Nickety to revise their plans and specifications. They sent them to us, and we approved them right away, reviewed and approved them right away. So we've got this note from Nicole Barker from April 13th saying, "Many thanks to the Michigan City Sanitary District colleagues," with an exclamation point. "We truly appreciate everything you've done, and have a great evening." So we continue to cooperate closely with them. And it seems to be going okay. A couple missteps here and there, but I guess we caught them in time, and they're doing well. The White Ditch cleaning quotes, we do not have anything there to report. The quotes are received, and we really don't have enough money in stormwater to work on that issue. And I think right now we wouldn't be able to cut the trees down anyway because the Indiana bat season, so we'd probably have to wait till October, November before we could do anything. We might want to think about what we want to do there. This has been an issue for quite a while, and maybe we want to even borrow some money from one of the other funds in the district, or see what about some kind of capital lease or something if we can for getting this work done. US Highway 30-20 sewer extension, they're still working on the preliminary engineering report. They've been sending us invoices and we've been approving them, but hopefully we'll see some kind of draft report here real soon. The new dump trucks for the IDEM Volkswagen Trust Grant Program. Lo and behold, after we did all the grant work and everything and got the capital lease and everything, the IDEM is saying that they will not release the grant money to us because we're leasing the vehicles. We tried to explain to them that we're not leasing the vehicles, it's a capital lease. Actually, the titles are already in our name. we have the titles now. We did not have the titles at our March meeting. Mr. Meyer and I may try to reach out to the IDE&M and talk to their attorneys to see if they would back off of this provision that they have, since it's actually a capital equipment lease and not a typical lease where you would lease a piece of equipment and then give it back, at the end of the lease. But because they're likely to not agree with that, we have this resolution 1432-21 that allows us to facilitate the payment of $426,899.02 to pay off the capital lease. And then as soon as we do that, we will be receiving from the IDE&M our grant for $140,734, and that resolution's there. And I asked the board to approve Resolution 1432-21 to allow us to pay off the lease of the dump trucks, capital lease of the dump trucks, as soon as possible, if necessary. So if we could get a motion for that, that'd be good.
Excuse me, this is Old. I just have a quick question. Now it is confirmed that if we go this route, that the $140,000 in grant money will be available to us then, correct?
Yes, that's confirmed through written correspondence with the IDE&M.
Excellent. Any other questions? If no one has a questions, I'll be happy to make that motion.
Can we get a second?
For resolution 1432-21.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman. Jim Smith.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Will there be any opposed? No opposed.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a quote for the purchase of 500 of the garbage toters at $65.23 each for a total of $32,615. I know it wasn't too long ago that we purchased some new toters. First of all, I don't believe that we've got the full 500 amount purchased. I think we were trying to use that rainy day fund, and we tried to keep it what that fund could afford. However, when those were purchased, we were already we had a long list of people that needed toters by that time, by the time we received those. And I do believe we still have a few left that we could still use for people that would need one here. But we really need to get some more backups, so that's what this is for. I believe we have this funds available in our refuse department fund for equipment purchases, and I would ask the board to approve this. Now, I want to make one thing first before you before you vote on this. This quote is only valid through April 23rd, and today's the 28th. These quotes are not valid for very long because the totes are made of plastic and the oil market is it fluctuates so much. So I guess what I would like to ask is that, approve the purchase of the toters, at a reasonable cost, approximately $32,000. May go up, it may go down.
Now, Michael, I would point out that with the shipping, it's $35,000.
Sorry, you're right. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. I see that now, $35,000. So with, somewhere in that neighborhood, $35,000 reasonable increase or decrease to this cost based on the oil market. Maybe they'll even hold this quote, but that's what I'd like to get board approval for so we can get these purchased.
All right. Can we get a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve the totes.
Thank you.
This is Holt, I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Will there be any opposed? No opposed.
Okay, the next item is this American Rescue Plan project's priorities. We were asked by the city controller's office, all the department heads were asked by the city controller's office to put together our top 5 priorities for each one of our departments. Since we basically have 4 departments at the sanitary district, we issued our top 5 items for each one of those departments. So I just wanted to go through this. Is that okay with you, Mr. Mitchell, if I just go through this kind of quickly?
Sure, Mike.
Okay. The IT department, the first thing they wanted to do was replace the firewalls to provide better security to our systems, network systems, and they're estimating that cost at $123,000. They'd like to replace the citywide
party in the conference.
They would like to replace the okay, hang on a second. I think whoever was on the line must have hung up. I don't know how well that's going to work. They want to replace the phone system throughout the city. The phone system throughout the city is, they're estimating that at $196,000. It's out of warranty and has been problematic, causing issues is the reason there. They'd like to get a new internet service provider that can provide faster internet at a more reliable, a better rate. They're estimating that at $70,000 to make some changes to the fiber optic center. They want to expand the fiber optic ring to central services, admin, and fire stations 1, 2, and 3. They estimate that cost at $60,000, and they want to increase the server storage by 40%, and they estimate that cost at $320,000. That would be citywide. All those projects are citywide. Refuse department, we asked for 4 garbage trucks, which is about $360,000 each, comes to a total of $1.4 million. 2 payloaders, we estimate that cost between $40,000 and $600,000. 1 tub grinder, a horizontal grinder, it's something we really need out at Carwick, not at Carwick, excuse me, at Hitchcock facility. We actually had this in a capital project list before for the city a couple of years, more than a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, and it was knocked out of the capital improvements. I think at that time we were looking at buying a horizontal grinder that was going to be $900,000. They're expensive, but they really help out a lot, saving a lot of space. We're also thinking about, we asked for a tire shredder. We have a lot of waste that we use, tire waste that we use right now. We're putting them in semi-trucks and hauling them out, which is costing us a lot of money. We felt if we got a shredder, we might be able to reduce some cost. There's some other issues there. That cost there is $50,000 to $70,000. Going back up to the garbage trucks, I never explained why we needed them. Our fleet is getting very old, and we really are in need of replacing these trucks on a really almost an annual basis, at least 1 or 2 trucks, and we've gotten a little behind on that, so that's why we talked about that. And then we only have 1 payloader at the refuse department, and it's old and is taking a lot of repairs, so we felt if we could get 2 of them, it would really help out, especially with spring cleanup. And then we also are asking the American Rescue Plan to help us with 2,000 garbage toters, which comes to about $140,000. First of all, we approved some today, but this goes through the next 3.5 years. This American, what's it called again? The American Rescue Plan, 3.5 years. Stormwater department, we asked for the $180,000 to do the white ditch cleaning. Lafayette Barker storm sewer system, that's a $15.7 million project. It would really be nice to at least maybe get the money for the outfall. We could at least get an outfall to the creek. I listed the other phases of the project with quite a bit of explanation in there if you want to read all that. The one thing I would like to note is it's the last full paragraph on that second page of the stormwater. It talks about, lastly, combining green infrastructure concepts such as rain gardens, permeable pavement, and groundwater infiltration chambers maybe the size and magnitude of the storm sewers could be reduced. You all remember we instituted a drainage filtration system. John Doyle did design over there on the corner of Elk and Jackson Street, and that seems to be working out really well. That's like in the heart of this Lafayette Parker system, so maybe there's some way we could, if nothing else, maybe we could get some money for some more green infrastructure projects in that area and help out eliminating some of the stormwater from our system over there, which is, I'll put quotes around it, a combined sanitary and storm sewer system. A track excavator, we really need that for doing some of the ditch work and heavy work that we do. That's estimated at $100,000. Belmont Court and Boyd Circle, we've done a lot of research over there with standing water, and there's some failures of some culverts, and there's also some sump pump discharges. I believe Jeff Wright, our city engineer, put together a plan for us on that, and estimating the cost at $125,000 for that. Adams Park Stormwater Drainage Wetland Project. This is something that we just sent a grant in just now. It's another Sustain Our Great Lakes SOGO grant, the same grant that we had on the Cheney Run project. We really need about $300,000 there. It's a $600,000 project, and we are going to match that with about $300,000. I'm rounding off. 294 is the actual number that we put in the grant application. 50-50 match, and that's a $588,000 project we're estimating that at right now. We made it through the first stage of the grant preliminary review, so you never know, we might receive that grant money too. And that's going to be a win-win for everybody if we can get that done, because there's a baseball field over there, softball, baseball fields over there that they play at, but the area is very wet, and many times they can't use the fields, so we feel that this would allow the fields to drain better. We may lose one of the fields depending on the design, but at least we'd have one field that would be playable all the time, except obviously if you've got, lightning or a thunderstorm or something, but it would be playable. As compared to now, they have to cancel many of the games because the fields are just unplayable because the drainage is so poor. The other things we put on here for the wastewater treatment plant and for water reclamation, I should say, is the $300,000 to put that sewer in at US Highway 2035. That's something the city is legally required to accomplish by the end of December next year. We also asked for 2 small 5-yard dump trucks for a total of $240,000 each. These would really help out with us cleaning catch basins and so forth, and also we also felt like we could use them for maybe helping out with the winter snowstorms, with getting to our lift stations and so forth with salt spreaders on the back. We also have a need for a emergency gas scrubber. If we were to lose our gas from our chlorine room and our sulfur dioxide room, we have what's called a risk management plan that requires us to notify people, I believe, within a 1-mile area of the plant or so many feet area of the wastewater plant. And this would be an emergency gas scrubber that, if we had a release, would have a vacuum on it, would suck the air out of the building, and would also treat it before it got any harm to anybody. That's a $350,000 proposition. We really could use a new TV camera truck. Our TV camera truck, it seems like it's always in for repair, and now it's in for repair again. I was just told again today, literally in for repair again. I was going over some of this stuff at a staff meeting with staff today, and I was being sarcastic about how our TV camera truck never breaks down, and it's been the greatest piece of equipment we've ever owned. And Tony Tony Basil, he sends me a chat saying that it's down again today. So that's something we could definitely use. And then on a more planning scheme of things, it's always been our thought to put a new interceptor along US Highway 12 and Liberty Trail to take a lot of the load that comes across on the B&E sewer there and through the siphon on East Street. That's something that, a long-term capital project at sewers that we thought would be good. And one of the reasons we put a lot of the stuff in about the sewers is because it's our understanding that the money from the American Rescue Plan project can be used for sewers. So that's what I had there. Is there any questions about that? Okay. Next thing I'd like to talk about is the A2LA Laboratory Accreditation Assessment. We had a young lady, Carolyn Elmore from Texas. She did our assessment. We have to get assessed every couple of years. This was actually done virtually this year because of the COVID-19. I just, before I get started on this, I just want to say it, I'll say it again, I really just can't be more proud of our lab. They did a fantastic job. There were 9 deficiencies that were noted. She audited us for 4 days, a 4-day audit with every possible thing she could check in our laboratory work, every method. She went through every test method, and the lab technicians took turns doing the test method. So she found 9 deficiencies, but I just want to go through them a little bit to show you the level of these deficiencies. The first one is that the employees did not sign that they've reviewed the update to the quality manual. Well, we had one sentence that we changed in the quality manual, about, I don't know, 6 months to a year ago, and there was not a written record that they reviewed that and signed off on that one change. So that was the first deficiency, so now we've taken care of that. The next one is automatic temperature compensation for our meters, and also barometric pressure compensation. They want us to actually take some thermometers that are traceable to the National Institute of Standards and make sure that our automatic temperature compensation and our barometric pressure compensation is traceable. So that's how far they got onto that one. Temperatures and bench sheets do not indicate which temperature thermometer was used. Even though our thermometers are all traceable to the National Bureau of Standards, they want us, when we do a bench sheet, they want us to identify thermometer, X1V3 was used, so we can verify which thermometer was used to do the temperature for some of our tests on our log sheets and bench sheets. And also balances and meters, they want us to notify which balance was used or which meter was used. Well, for the most part, we use the same balance and the same meter every single time. So that's another, in the weeds type thing. We'll make that change to the records. The next one had to do with revised report. We sent out a revised report. We had a test one time, and we revised the report. We put the changed data on the report, and we indicated revised like we're supposed to, but we didn't provide an explanation of what was revised. Laboratory risk. We've identified risks. You might remember the board passed this resolution not too long ago, maybe a year or two ago, about no undue influence on the lab to produce any type of, just to be, report the results as they get them. Management's not allowed to have any push on that undue relationship there that would cause issues with that. I guess we identified our risks, but that was an example where we took action. We must have identified a few other risks that could possibly cause problems, but we never spelled out any corrective action plan to what we're going to do to correct the potential for those types of risks. Management review that we did the management reviews, but we didn't indicate the people that participated in the management review. So that was number 6. Number 7 is a temperature uniformity. This is my favorite one. We have the thermometers in our incubators, but they want us to move the thermometer around to different spots within the incubator to make sure that we're getting uniform temperature or temperature mapping in the incubator. So I want everyone to go home tonight and make a thermometer for their refrigerator to make sure you're getting the proper temperatures everywhere on all parts of your refrigerator, on every shelf. And then the standard titrant one. This is another good one. We buy a standard materials to make up a titrant with, and it's traceable and everything. We have all that data, and then we use a portion of it, like a dilution, to make up our titrant for when we do our alkalinity and acidity titration. Well, now they want us to, after we make up that dilution for the titrant, They want us to buy another titrant, a standard that matches the dilution titrant that we made, so we can verify that it's actually being made properly and working properly. So that's down there in the minutia also, but we will do that. And then job descriptions, they want us to have the lab technician sign off that they've received their job description. So as you can see, there was nine deficiencies, but they were all very, very, very minor, very picky. In fact, the lady who did the assessment even indicated that she was getting into the weeds, as she said. That was her quote. I got into the weeds to have to find these deficiencies. She had high praise for our lab, and I couldn't be prouder of the lab for work that they did with this assessment. Sue Lehman, our lab manager, Laura Pearson, lab tech, Katrina Vito, lab tech, and Fawn Patterson's our fourth lab tech. They all really deserve some compliments for the job well done. And remember, we're the only municipal lab in the entire state of Indiana that is accredited to the to the international standards, the ISO standard 17025. We're the only lab in the state that has that type of accreditation. So hats off to the lab people. Thank you for listening. Is there any questions about that with the lab or comments? Putting you all to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a couple memos that I added to the packet. I don't know if you saw them in the shared drive. They weren't on the original agenda. I added two to the agenda. The first one is I'd like to give board approval for hiring some seasonal employees, some summer help. So I'm asking the board to approve the hiring of up to 5 full-time and/or part-time seasonal employees to work through the busy summer season. It's expected that these employees would start no earlier than April 1st and end their work no later than September 30th. Obviously, this year they wouldn't be able to start April 1st. Mr. Meyer reviewed this, and I did not accept his suggested change. He wanted me to say that it's expected that they will work no more than 25 hours a week. I left it at no work less than 30 hours, 30 weeks per year. It is expected that these employees would not receive benefits and that they would work less than 30 weeks per year. The reason I picked 30 and the reason he wanted me to lower it down is because there's a certain limit that if you work over that limit of weeks in a year, I believe the number is 30 weeks a year, but we need to verify that. So otherwise we'd have to pay them health insurance coverage. So whatever that time frame is, the intention is to stay below that. So these would just be temporary part-time or temporary full-time seasonal employees without benefits to help us out through the summer season. So I'm asking the board approval contingent upon consultation with the district's financial manager and other necessary staff to help ensure that the hiring of the seasonal workers does not adversely affect budgetary goals. So if I could get approval to do that, it would be helpful to the district, and I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Cutts.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. What age group you're looking for? Is that high schoolers or?
There's no, no, there would be no, I mean, you have to be 18, I believe, to work here at the sanitary district, or there's a minimum requirement that you have to work at the sanitary district. Honestly, I don't know what that is, but really, we weren't looking for any certain age, just someone that wants to work.
Okay.
Excuse me, Michael, is this including any of the beach monitoring, or?
That's a good question. This would be in addition to the seasonal beach techs. That's already on our staffing. Chart. So, and basically the way that's always worked, and I think as a board, as long as it's a position that's staffed, there's a memo that from way back when, or a resolution from I think 2012 that the general manager can facilitate the hiring and firing of all employees, provided that they're listed on the staffing chart or budgeted for.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And how many guys you're talking about getting, Mike?
Well, it depends where we put them. you know, this request has really come out of the refuse department, and I'm not sure that we would be able to hire any for the refuse department because their budget is, you know, pretty tight, and maybe not even be able to do that. So I just asked for board approval for up to 5 seasonal employees, but we've got to look at the budget and make sure that we can hire them. But you know, I guess putting, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So I thought I'd ask the board for the approval up to 5. But like I said in the memo, and saying it again out loud, you know, contingent upon consultation with financial manager and other district staff to make sure that we can meet our budgetary goals. So.
I think it's a great idea, Mike, really.
Well, this is Jeff. I don't particularly have any issues hiring, you know, people. My only thought, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind when you said refuse, that's the department where the guys are getting hurt, right? That's the highest accident rate, and I don't know that it makes sense to put newbies in there, does it?
Good point. I mean, you know, it's just that through the summer when there's all the vacations, you know, it's really tough for us to keep up. You know, you might remember last August I was showing you that report of the special pickups or the pickup piles, and we're way behind. You know, 5, 6, 8-page list we had, and that's what happens with that when it's after spring cleanup in the summer. It's just hard to keep up, and I don't disagree with you, Jeff. I think that's certainly part of it, but I don't know how you.
Well, as always, Michael, as always, I trust your judgment. I just wanted to just throw that out there for, you know, as you're moving those bodies around, just keep that as something that's considered. That's all.
Okay, very good.
Well, do we need to get a motion, Mr. Cuff?
Yeah, I'd like to have a motion for approval of this.
Could we have a motion for the hiring of Summer Hill?
So, one quick question to Jeff's point. Mike, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, before we ask this, it's just a quick question. So, do they, you know, to Jeff's point of newbies possibly getting hurt, how do we handle that? I mean, with you know, do they do some projects and not everything, or how does that work, Mike? Are they?
Well, I think that
helping pick things up.
I think that you know, first of all, we would want to definitely train them on the do's and don'ts of the job. They would not be, you know, they would probably not be driving. You know, they would probably be more, you know, helping picking up piles and, you know, maybe on the back of the garbage trucks. And, you know, a lot of it's just, you know, what kind of physical condition you're in general terms. And really, there's really not too much else we can do. I mean, you know, sometimes you know, people get hurt. You know, one of the, you know, some of the injuries I think even on refuse was a bee sting, or a person, you know, stepped out and, you know, got cut on a piece of glass or something. You know, these things happen. You know, the latest injury that we had was a person, you know, slipping and falling on the ice. You know, that's the worst injury that we've had so far in refuse, and I don't think we've got to worry about that through the summer. But yeah, I don't think there's any other way to just address it than just try to ask people to be safe and try to give them the training. You know.
Thank you, Tim. This is Scott. Even though they're not covered on benefits, all employees are covered under the workers' compensation insurance. So I just want to add that they will be covered under the workers' comp. But
Okay.
And this is Dan, if I could add in something on prevention. Before we hire the employees, let's talk a little bit about what work we expect them to do, and then I can provide some training along with their foreman on injury prevention, and possibly that would help a good bit. So let's try and do a little bit of additional planning on what these temporary employees would be doing, and maybe we can avoid having to use workers' compensation.
It sounds very good, Dan, and that was actually, you know, definitely my plan. You know, there's other things too, like sampling the creek and sampling the Cheney Run and different things that we do that, you know, there's stuff like that the temporary seasonal workers could also help out with. But anyhow, I think that point's a very good point, Dan, and that was definitely my plan. I just didn't want to put, you know, a whole bunch of time into all that if we didn't have the approval to hire the people, so.
If there be no more input, could I make a motion for the hiring of the summer help?
Yes, I'll make the motion to go ahead and hire summer help.
It's seasonal help.
Jeff, I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Will there be any opposed? No opposed. Mike?
Okay, very good. The second thing that I added, second and last thing that I added to the agenda was we had an ad out recently for refuse driver loaders, because we just need to hire some full-time folks. And we actually identified 3 candidates that had CDL licenses, and we talked to 3 of them about going to get their drug screening and their alcohol screening and do the background check. And one of the gentlemen turned us down and said that he didn't think he could work right now for the sanitary district, so there were only 2.
End in 5 minutes.
So then we looked into a little bit further. One of the 2 gentlemen, his name is Pedro Torres. He interviewed very well. He actually has a Class A CDL license, which is the higher. We only require a B. But however, he does not have a high school diploma from an accredited high school. He does have a high school diploma from a Cornerstone Christian Correspondence School, but this school does not meet the district's accreditation guidelines. While I do not believe it's a good idea to hire people into positions which they do not meet the minimum standards, in this case, I'd like to ask the board to make an exception. During the interviews, Mr. Torres spoke articulately, and he appears to be an intelligent man. It's very likely evidenced by his passing the Class A CDL exam and obtaining his license that he possesses the necessary knowledge and intelligence to do the job. He has demonstrated that he clearly has all the knowledge and abilities necessary to fulfill the requirements of the driver-loader position with the refuse department. Therefore, I'm asking the board to allow an exception to the requirement that all refuse drivers/loaders have a high school diploma that meets the district's minimum guidelines. If you get a motion to that effect, unless the board disagrees, then that would be helpful.
Have there been anybody done this in the past? I mean,
I have never asked for an exception to the minimum hiring criteria since I've been here that I know of, so that I can remember. And I really look at it's something that I don't really think is something that we should do, but in this case, it is, you know, simply the high school diploma, and it's, you know, he does actually have a diploma. It's just not from a recognized school that we would recognize, and obviously he must be able to read and write and do math in order to pass the CDL exam. So,
absolutely. If there be no more input, I'd like to see if we can get a motion for the exception of Mr. Torres, the high school diploma.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Tim Smith.
Do we have a second?
This is Holt, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 all right, very good.
Will there be any opposed? No opposed. Mike?
Very good, sir. Done a nice job on that this month. Okay, your monthly reports are in there. I have been trying to highlight, you know, some of the work that we're doing, monthly reports. You know, maintenance had 121 work orders. Looking through this, operations manager's report. If you want to see all the work that we're doing around here, read that. You know, we treated 179 million gallons of wastewater in the month of March. Our BOD removal was 99%, spending solids was 99%, ammonia was 99%, phosphorus was 92%. So that's, you know, no problems with E. coli there, so it's all pretty good. Also, I went through the lab's monthly report last month, and their report talks about some of the new stuff that they've done here. They actually went over we got a new piece of phosphorus testing equipment. They went over to a New Buffalo to look at they used that same piece of equipment, so they went over there to look at how that works. That was good. Putting a little more into her reports, which is very helpful. And also, I already complimented them on what a great job they've been doing. I'll go through the refuse trash. The March totals were 1,393 tons of total household waste in March, and that is looking at the data. I should ask Mr. Speedreader, Mr. Holt, to look, but I'm glancing through the data, and I don't see a number for the last since 2016 that's higher than 1,393 tons. So that might be the all-time record. So you can see the green line went up there pretty high that month. So done a great. The refuse has been doing really good lately, so we're picking it up. So. Keeping it off the streets and keeping it out of the creeks and keeping it out of the neighborhoods. That's what we need to do with the refuse. So that's all I have. And Mr. Meyer, I guess, is up next, Gary.
All right. Mr. Meyer?
I don't have anything to add. I'll answer anybody's questions if you have any.
Anyone have any questions for Attorney Meyer? If not, we'd like to move on and go to the approval and allow the revenue and tax levy claims for payments. Can we get a motion?
This is Holt. I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
This is Tim. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Will there be any opposed? No opposed. All right. Will there be any old business? Mr. Cuss, do you have any old business?
No, I have no old business or new business.
Is this where I can ask a question?
Sure. Go ahead. Mr. Wright?
You were talking about the ARP and a lot of IT devices and equipment. And I was making sure that the GIS servers and that kind of equipment is backed up as well.
The GIS servers? I don't know what you mean by GIS servers.
Well, I know that Tony's got a ton of data, and I know that he keeps one large hard drive in his office. I don't know if that information is backed up or if that was, the new equipment that I think Andy was proposing for IT and backing up different systems, if that piece or that device is part of that program.
Well, and his proposal, he's talking about increasing the network capacity by 40%, but you know, your point is very well taken, and we will definitely make sure that GIS work is all being backed up. I would be willing to bet a lot of money that it probably is, because Andy's usually on top of this stuff, very much so, about backing stuff up. So I'm sure I would be willing to say it probably is, but we better make sure that it is, Jeff. So we'll do that tomorrow morning, okay?
Yeah. Hey, Jeff,
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff, this is Scott. Some of that stuff that Tony does, when we went to the new Tyler technology software in New World, a lot of the parcel information and stuff it's on the cloud, so it's backed up, but I'll confirm, like, some of the other stuff that he does is backed up too. So, yeah, but we did, when we went to Tyler, a lot of this information is now on the cloud and has been backed up. So, but I'll see what else he has, and we'll try to get it backed up.
Okay. Well, I rely on Tony pretty heavily, and we've got a lot of information. I would be surprised if it wasn't done like you say. But I mean, if we're proposing improvements, I was just suggesting maybe we include that as whatever it would take to upgrade that, or whatever.
Okay.
All right. If there be no more questions, could we get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Next meeting, May 26, 2021. You guys have a great evening.